You said something interesting, which was some people wanted the will or the assets to be distributed in a Sharia-compliant manner, and other people did not. Can you go into that? Because I think there's a lot of confusion around the Sharia creation of a will and who gets what in that. Because I think a lot of daughters complain that the sons are due more, and therefore you can overwrite it by just creating your own will, and that's okay. Like, what's the truth behind it? How should you be doing a will as a Muslim?
No, Sharia compliant wills, everyone's like, well, can you have a Sharia compliant will? Is that even legit in the UK? Of course it's legit. You can bequeath your assets to a dog if you wanted to. So yeah, you can't decide that you want it in a Sharia compliant split. Of course you can. There's no problems with that whatsoever. Now my colleagues are the experts when it comes to Sharia compliant wills. Haroon Rashid, who heads up Bible solicitors, he's the one that created the first Sharia compliant will in the UK 20 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, he's the foremost expert in the UK, mashallah, when it comes to this. And he can give you a lot more examples of the details. But in this scenario, I would say that, look, it all comes down to who are your inheritors on death. And no one knows who are going to be the inheritors on death because we don't know when they're going to pass away. For example, I would say, look, in my situation right now, alhamdulillah, my parents are still alive. So it means that they will be one of my inheritors. And then I've got my wife, I've got my son, and of course they all get their relevant share. But you also have an opportunity to bequeath wealth to people other than your inheritors, up to a third of your estate. So you can give to charity, etc.
So your inheritors have a certain right on you, your children, your parents, your spouse.
Yep.
But then beyond that, there's a certain element you can bequeath to whoever.
So the Prophet ﷺ said, don't let 2 nights pass without having a will in place if you've got assets to bequeath.
2 nights?
Exactly. So if that, but remember that the word that the Prophet ﷺ used was wasiyah. Now, the wasiyah is essentially the third of your estate that you can bequeath to whoever you want. The other 2/3 is already dictated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you can, up to a third, decide who you want that to be passed to. So, whether it's charity and, someone other than the inheritors, next door neighbor or another family member that isn't going to inherit. There's so many other people that
Or could you say, okay, so a third?
Yeah,
is
up
that
to a third,
amount?
exactly.
Could I just say, look, I want my wife to get extra and just bequeath the extra third to her? You can't do that.
No, you can't. You can't. It's up to whatever the fraction that's already been decided.
Okay, so that's the thing. So I know you're not the will specialist yourself, but okay, say you pass away, you have a wife and you have a son and a daughter.
Yeah.
It's dictated how much the wife should receive, the son should receive, the daughter should receive.
Yeah.
If someone decides, I'm not going to do a Sharia compliant will, I'm just going to do, everyone's going to get an equal split. Yeah. Is that a sin? Are you allowed to do that?
I'm not going to get into the all of that because that's not far beyond my pay grade. I'm not qualified to talk about
the Sharia
compliance.
Matters. Yeah.
But what I would say is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already legislated who it should go to. It's not your matter now. You can't decide who is it you, is it your wealth or is it Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's? Who does this wealth belong to? And are you going to follow what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated, or are you going to make up your own rules?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Exactly. Now, one thing I should say, and this is something that a lot of people forget, is that let's say that that you only have daughters. So let's say you're married, you've got a wife, you've got 2 daughters, you've got your siblings as well. What people don't realize is that one of the inheritors will actually be your siblings in that scenario.
Oh, really?
Yes, because it's 2 daughters.
So there's no
exactly
son, therefore the siblings.
Exactly.
Okay. Wow.
So people don't realize this. And this is, again, just talking it through, understanding, okay, what's the situation here? How can we, understanding whose rights are going to be there and then discussing it with family.
I feel like no one, especially like back home in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, in all these places, people are just doing whatever they want.
Yeah. They just pass it to the son. Oh yeah, the son will deal with it. The son will deal with it. No, that's not how it is. That's not how it is at all. That everyone has their right. And that right should be provided to them. And yes, of course, it's giving it to them in an appropriate manner. Obviously, you wouldn't, if the person had a bad habit, let's say, they're involved in the wrong things and they were due an inheritance. There's things that can be done to protect it for them, but not put it directly into their hand.
Okay, so like creating a trust or something.
Exactly, and things like that. There's so many things that can be done. People, again, just don't realize this. You need to get Haroon on, in all honesty, to talk you through the details, because he can give you all the details on it.
Nice. But
what I would say in this scenario, that again, everyone remembers their rights when they're due something on death. And particularly, they remember their rights if it means that they're going to get more than they would have otherwise. So that's where people really need to understand that, look, guys, if you want to leave behind a massive dispute for your family and tear them apart, just don't have a will. Simple as. If that's your objective, to tear your family apart, the easiest way to do it is not have a will. If you want to keep them together, get a will in place. Seriously, the barakah that will come from it, you'll see it. And of course, a Sharia compliant will as well. No doubt about it. Every Muslim should have a will.
How can people go about doing that?
Oh, it's very, very easy. Just contact the team and they'll get it in place with you. From what they do is just fill out a short questionnaire, just certain details. We have a quick call with them to talk it all through, understand what their scenario is in terms of what they want to achieve, what their objectives are, the family dynamics. And then we get the will in place, and within 10 working days, we'll have a draft will to you.
Wow.
So it's very, very quick to turn around. And honestly, I remember doing mine during COVID, because I was like, if there's ever a time that I'm going to be even more cognizant about death, it's when everything that was going on in COVID. People, we were seeing it all the time. Everything was about death. And so I was like, okay, contacted Arun. I was like, come on, let's just get it in place ASAP. And honestly, the feeling, the weight off my shoulders when I got that will done was, honestly, I can't describe it. The clarity it gave me that, you know what, I've done my bit, and I know now that what the plan is should anything happen to me, what needs to be done. And who would look after my son if I was to pass away? After both me and my wife were to pass away, for example, who would look after my son if that was to ever happen?
So did you put that in the will as well? Like who would be the guardian of your
Exactly,
of your
below
child?
the age of 18, who would be the guardian of my
Really?
son? But that is where, yes, it's a difficult decision to make, but this is part of, remember that this wealth is an amana to us. Everything is an amana. Our children are an amana to us. So we've got to fulfill that amana, fulfill that responsibility fully. If you're like, oh yeah, it'll just be dealt with, that's not fulfilling your amana. You've got to stand guard and be like, okay, what needs to be done here? Dot the I's, cross the T's. Ya Rab, I've done my part. I've done what you've asked from me.
And if you help with setting up the wills, do you also do the other bits? Like, okay, create a trust for a child or...
Yeah, all the inheritance tax planning we can deal with as part of that.
Nice.
Even if you do have a will and you haven't dealt with the inheritance, because a lot of people have wills in place, but they haven't done any inheritance tax planning. We can do that as well. So even if you have a will, you don't need it updated, we'll look at the inheritance tax planning for you only if you want to. We can do both, or you just want a will, we'll just look at the will for you.
Thanks for watching Muslim Money Talk. We pull these clips from our full-length episodes to bring you the most actionable insights, serious discussions, and interesting stories from our guests. If this clip resonated with you, you need to watch the full conversation. The link is right in the description. Remember, knowledge is useless without action. That's why we built Kestrl, a tool to help you finally grow your wealth without compromising on your beliefs. We're the UK's first ever Sharia-compliant debit card with halal monthly returns, all within a sleek, intuitive app designed by our incredible team at Kestrl. We're giving our first 1,000 users free access for life. Join the Aleph users waitlist today. The link to sign up is in the description. Thank you, Assalamu alaikum, and see you next time.